Brave new foundation with another brilliant piece. This is about signature strikes. And they point to a particular town, Datta-Khel, where we kind of accidentally, killed 26 to 42 civilians that were in a local, what they call jirga. That's a council where they get together and resolve the issues. In that case, I believe they were talking about mining and farming, etc. And they were not remotely terrorists, Al-Qaeda, or Taliban. They were just local people in northern Pakistan. In fact, they were leaders of that community. So kind of like bombing a church here or a chamber of commerce meeting here and killing the leaders in any particular town in America. Obviously, that's not going to sit well. So they wanted to explain it, and they did a great documentary here. First, they're going to ask, are civilians killed, or is it only high-valued terrorists? Let's find out.
Before any strike is taken, there must be near certainty that no civilians will be killed or injured. The highest standard we can set.
The vast majority of those killed in drone strikes, over 98%, have not been high-value targets.
%98 not high-value targets. Don't believe the hype when your government or idiot right-wing commentators here in America tell you otherwise. So what you might have heard the signature strike language, but not know exactly what it means. They did a great job of explaining. They go to the experts.
I obtained classified U.S. intelligence reports on drone strikes. What the documents reveal are the way that signature strikes are put together. And these are strikes against people who fit the signature of what the U.S. government says is a terrorist.
Maybe they are walking in and out of the compound with guns, maybe they're getting in trucks and they're moving to the Afghan border.
And drone operators seated thousands of miles away from the area affected are looking at video feeds, assessing those video feeds, and based on that, making decisions about whether or not someone who's walking through the community is a suspected terrorist.
And you conclude on the basis of the behavior that they are a terrorist, and you kill them.
But looking at the imagery itself, there's no way you can tell a target is good, bad, other, indifferent, unless they were wearing a big sign on their back that said, hey, I'm Taliban or I'm Al-Qaeda, because it doesn't read minds.
So they go to reporters there, they go to experts, they go to a former defense contractor. They all say the same thing. We don't know who we're hitting when it's a signature strike. There's a personality strike where we think we know who we're hitting. That's a totally different category. Let me give you one more quote here from NBC News so you get a sense that this is not just a couple of people. Everybody understands this is the actual program. The CIA did not always know who it was targeting and killing in drone strikes in Pakistan over a 14-month period, an NBC News review of classified intelligence report show. Now that's just the 14 months that they studied, but clear, they did not know who they were hitting. If it's not clear enough, here's one more.
When Leon Panetta was director of the CIA, somebody memorably said, if Leon sees a few guys doing jumping jacks on the ground, he thinks that's a terrorist training camp.
In a number of cases that I looked at, the CIA wasn't sure who they were hitting.
This is a sick way to conduct business, man. Is this what America stands for? There's no need for it. They don't need to do signature strikes. They could do just personality strikes. And you might have disagreements with that as well. But at least that's a different category where we're at least trying to hit someone we think is a bad guy. Here, we're being nearly indiscriminate in how we do it. And the example they used, and they spent a lot of time in this video, which you should check out in its entirety, they talk about this village, and it's the people's dad, it's their uncle, it's their grandfather, all dead. And in fact, the thing that's the scariest part is that no one feels safe. It's almost like they're living in a state of terror.
This drone strike is coming at the end of a series of drone strikes. It's feeding into the sense of no one is safe, nowhere is safe, nothing is safe. Even a jirga, the most cherished, the most treasured institution of the tribal areas. So we cannot even sit down and resolve an issue. That is not safe anymore.
Now, meanwhile, what are ridiculous U.S. officials like John Brennan claiming? Watch this.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today.
3 months after 42 civilians died, John Brennan stood up at Johns Hopkins and said,
nearly for the past year, there hasn't been a single collateral death because of the exceptional proficiency, precision of the capabilities that we've been able to develop.
High-level authorities tell the American public that there have been no civilian casualties.
These guys were terrorists, not the local men's glee club.
These were not people gathering for a bake sale, these were terrorists.
There's every indication that this was a group of terrorists, not a charity car wash in the Pakistani hinterlands.
They were presumably using this notion that any male of a certain age, roughly between 14 and 60, who is killed is automatically counted as a combatant.
That's not an offhanded way of referring to that. That's technically what they do. If they kill someone that is what they consider combatant age who's a male, they say terrorist. You could later prove after they're already been killed that they were not terrorists, they were civilians, and then they might reconsider it. But remember, John Brennan said back then, we'd killed no civilians. That enormous liar, John Brennan, is now the head of the CIA. Okay? So they know exactly what they're doing. And then the guys who are supposed to be so against leaks, all those investigations against the press, against Snowden, Greenwald, Assange, Bradley Manning, etc. And what do? They leak things like, oh, well, man, it wasn't like it was a car wash. We killed a bunch of Pakistanis. They were all terrorists. They leak like crazy when it's to their benefit and with a pack of lies. Now, one of the guys that had family members killed was a guy named Jalal Manzar Khail, who's in the video, or Khail, I should say. And he says, and this is a little moving, convey my message to Americans. The CIA and America have to stop. They're just creating more enemies, and this will last for hundreds of years. But then, more importantly, he talks about his son and how his son, who's 6 years old, is a nervous wreck. He doesn't want to go outside because sometimes drones fly overhead. One time that a drone flew overhead, 42 civilians died. He's a 6-year-old kid. He doesn't know. And so whenever they feel that there's one in the air, they run out of the house because they think any house can be hit. In their experience, it's totally indiscriminate, and civilians get killed all the time. So one time, drone flies by, it's the middle of the night, they run out of the house as usual, and then his 6-year-old does not want to go home. And they say, no, it's okay, the drone passed by, let's go back home. And he says, quote, we cannot go home. We have to spend the night in the tree. This is the kind of terror we've created with signature strikes. Now, what kind of a decent government would do that? This is not what America's supposed to be about. Yet this is what the rest of the world sees, because we're headed in the wrong direction. The military-industrial complex, the national security-industrial complex, and yes, the Bush and Obama administrations doing this deeply immoral act that is also counterproductive and creating enemies for us throughout the whole world. And perhaps that's exactly the point of the military-industrial complex. Check out the whole video. When we put this up on YouTube, you'll see the link below. And also there's a petition, sign that as well.